So, if you spend any time online, you've seen the debate, right? It's fierce. One side says, red states are booming, blue states are broken. The other side says, no way, blue states are the economic powerhouses holding the whole country up. We see these headlines constantly. But what's the real story here, behind these two competing American economies?
Yeah, I mean, on one side, you've got this story that red states are the new engines of growth. Everyone's flocking there for jobs, lower cost of living. But then you hear the complete opposite, that blue states are these high-productivity giants that basically support everyone else financially. I mean, they both can't be 100% true. Or could they?
Well, the truth is, like with most things, both sides have a point. There's a piece of the puzzle in each narrative. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to push the headlines aside for a bit and just follow the data. Let's actually build the real economic picture of a divided America, number by number, and see where it takes us.
So, here's the game plan. We'll start with the two big economic models, then dive into the numbers on jobs and growth. After that, we'll follow the federal money, look at the people factor, and then, the important part, figure out what it all means for your bottom line.
Okay, so first things first, we have to reframe this whole debate. This isn't just about Democrats versus Republicans. What we're really looking at are two fundamentally different economic systems that have popped up in the U.S. Each one has its own playbook, its own rules for how to win. And this is maybe the most important thing to get right from the start. This isn't some simple contest where we're going to declare a winner at the end. It's all about trade-offs. Each model is built to prioritize different things. And if you can understand those priorities, you can understand the entire divide.
All right, let's get into it. Time for the hard data. This is where both sides really make their strongest arguments. So let's pull up the scorecards and see how they actually stack up.
And right away, you can see the core divide in a nutshell. Red states, they're absolutely crushing it on key growth metrics. Think job creation, lower inflation, especially over the last few years. But on the flip side, blue states have this powerful lead in just sheer economic output. We're talking GDP. And of course, higher average wages. And that's all coming from their high productivity industry.
Now, if you really want to wrap your head around the scale of these blue state economies, just look at this one number from the Brookings Institution. 70%. 70%! That's the share of America's entire GDP that comes from counties that voted for Joe Biden. I mean, that is a staggering figure. It just shows you the immense economic density that's packed into those blue-leaning areas.
And that massive output, it's directly tied to the kinds of jobs in each place. Think about it. Blue states are all about white-collar, knowledge-based industries, right? Tech, finance, professional services. Meanwhile, red states have a much larger share of blue-collar jobs, manufacturing, construction, resource extraction, and that fundamental difference in the job market, well, that's the engine behind the wage gaps, the lifestyle gaps, pretty much everything we're talking about today.
Okay, now we're going to get into one of the spiciest parts of this whole debate. It's that claim you always hear, the idea that blue states are financially bailing out red states. Is it true? Well, let's follow the money and find out. So to figure this out, we need to understand a term called balance of payments. It sounds complicated, but it's actually super simple. It's just the difference between the money a state's residents send to Washington in taxes versus the money that state gets back in federal funding. If you pay in more than you get, you're a net contributor. If you get more than you pay, you're a net recipient. Simple as that. And when you look at the data, wow, a really stark pattern emerges. The top net contributors, the states sending the most cash to D.C. per person, they are overwhelmingly big blue states, like California, New York. And on the other side of that ledger, the top net recipients are largely smaller, more rural, and often red-leaning states like West Virginia, Mississippi, and Kentucky.
But, and this is a huge but, here's the essential context. This flow of money, it's not an accident, it's not a bug in the system, it's literally a feature. The American federal system was designed to work this way. It's a progressive structure, which means it's built to shift resources from higher income areas to lower income ones. The goal is to fund national programs and make sure there's a basic level of services everywhere.
All right, but an economy isn't just about dollars and cents, right? It's about people, their choices, their lives. Those are powerful forces that are reshaping these two Americas. So for this next part, let's look at where people are actually moving, their education levels. And we're going to tackle a very contentious topic, crime rates.
You hear this phrase a lot. People are voting with their feet. And the trend is crystal clear. Americans are on the move, and they are primarily heading to red states like Texas and Florida. And the reasons why probably won't surprise you. People are looking for lower housing costs, warmer weather, and of course, strong job creation.
At the same time this migration is happening, we're seeing this growing diploma divide. What's that? Well, blue states have a much higher concentration of college graduates, and that's really the fuel for their high-skill, high-wage economies. But this divide isn't just economic, it's political too. We're seeing college-educated voters increasingly cluster together in these blue knowledge hubs.
Okay, you really can't have a full conversation about this divide without talking about crime. And look, this is an issue where the political headlines are often totally disconnected from the actual data. So let's try to cut through all that noise and just see what the numbers have to say.
So, an analysis from the research group Third Way found something that might actually surprise you. They call it the red state murder gap. And what the data shows is that for more than 20 years, the average homicide rate has been consistently higher in states that voted Republican in presidential elections compared to states that voted Democrat. So the big question is, why? Why does this gap exist? Well, the research points away from any simple political blame game. Instead, it points to deeper structural issues, things like persistent poverty in certain regions, especially the South. It points to more permissive state-level gun laws. And this is really interesting. It shows that this violence is often concentrated in rural and small city areas, which really challenges that common narrative that it's just a big city problem. Okay, we've gone through a lot of data. So let's bring this all home. What does this tale of two different American economies actually mean for you? For your career? For your bank account? For the choices you make in your own life?
You know, there's this quote that I think just perfectly nails the central trade-off. It goes, blue states are more expensive but have stronger economies. Red states are cheaper but have fewer economic opportunities. And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? Blue states offer you the higher wages and these dynamic economies, but at a really high cost. Red states offer you affordability and growth, but maybe with a different set of career options.
So, at the end of the day, if you're trying to figure out where to build your life, it's not about just picking a red or blue model off a shelf. It's a personal calculation, you know? You've got to ask yourself, what's my career path? How far will my paycheck actually go after I pay for housing and taxes? What kind of community do I want to live in? The real key is to look past the political labels and see what the reality is on the ground.
And all of this leaves us with one final, really big question, because these two economic systems, they're not coming together. If anything, they seem to be pulling further apart. You've got one built on density, knowledge, and high costs, and the other built on space, growth, and affordability. So the real question for the future of the country is, which one of these models is going to define the next generation?